What if the NHL had to have a starting five lineup that played the entire game? There was no line changes, and basically you only had 5 players on your roster that had to have the stamina of Colby Chaos Covington in the bedroom and out on the ice and have to perform at the highest level possible. How differently would the league be? Would it be much different? Would it be the exact same? Obviously, the point totals of the starting five are going to absolutely skyrocket, and we are going to be finding that out here in today's video as I've gone across the entire NHL and made sure that every single team consisted of a starting five and starting five only. And finally now, after 38 minutes, we've gone through and messed with every single team's forward line. So the Anaheim Ducks, they got Zegras, McTavish, and Terry. We go to Arizona, we got Keller, Bukestad, Schmaltz. Boston is rocking with the Lindholm, Pasternak, and Marshy. We got JJ Thompson and Tuck. Carolina, they got Svechnikov, Aho, and Natchez. Johnny Hockey, Monahan, and Chinakarov. I don't know. Oh, actually, no, I messed up. It should be Marchenko. Huberdeau, Kadri, and Kuzmenko for Calgary. We got Teravainen, Bedard, and Mikheyev for Chicago. Landy, McKinnon, Rantanen. They're going to be absolutely loaded. Robertson, Hintz, and Pavelski. Look at those X factors. DeBrincat, Larkin, Kane. We got Nuge, McDavid, Hyman, Verhaeghe, Barkov, Kachuk. If we move along to LA, it'll be Fiala, Kempe, and Kopitar. Kaprizov, Eriksson, and Zuccarello for Minnesota. Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Caulfield, very young guys for Montreal. Palat, Hughes, and Bratt for New Jersey. We got Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, and Stammer for the Preds. Andres Lee, Brock Nelson, and Matthew Barzell for the New York Islanders. Bredman, Trocheck, Laffy for the Rangers. Ottawa's going to have Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, and Claude Giroux. That's a very good lineup there. Farabee, Frost, and Konecny, probably the worst starting 3 in the entire league. Bunting, Crosby, Rust. If we move along, McCain, Yanni Gord, and Jordan Eberle for Seattle. Clean Costin, Wenberg, and Toffoli for the San Jose Sharks. Dear God, this is a horrible roster. St. Louis is going to have Jake Neighbors, Robert Thomas, and Pavel Buchnevich. Tampa is going to have a loaded core with Gensel, Point, and Kucherov. If we move along to Toronto, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, that was obvious. DeBrusk, Miller, Besser for the Canucks. We got Barbashev, Eichel, and Stone for Vegas. Kyle Connor, Scheifele, and Velarde for Winnipeg. And finally, for the Washington Capitals, we got Ovi, Strome, and Tom Wilson. And I did the exact same thing for all the defensemen. So we go across the entire league here. We will have a little bit of a sneak peek at their decors. Only 2 defensemen are going to be called upon to play the entire game. So these guys got to get into the bedroom. They got to get to work on their girlfriends and wives and make sure that they are keeping their cardio up, because they are, if they don't, honestly, they might take a heart attack. I'm not going to lie. Playing 82 games this season, no injuries as well, playing 60 minutes a night. These guys are going to go through the ringer. Now, if you guys do enjoy videos just like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you get notified when I go live or post a video. And now it is time to start simulating and even hopping into some of the playoff games and see how these teams simulate and play with only playing a starting 5 in their lineup. So, at the end of year number 1, we get the Florida Panthers winning 58 games, only losing 20, and winning that President's Trophy. Colorado had 52 wins. Winnipeg was up there. Tampa Bay was very good. The Oilers as well. That is the top 5 in the league. If we take a look at the bottom, we got San Jose. I mean, predictably, they had a very bad starting 5. Buffalo was bad. Columbus, Chicago, Calgary. So, the standings didn't really change too much, to be honest. The bad teams were the bad teams, and the best teams were also the best teams. I mean, all these teams are up here are pretty good. Even Ottawa, you got to think these are updated rosters. So Linus Ullmark is on the Senators and he's starting every single game. Kyle Connor is going to lead the NHL in scoring with 239 points. If we take a look at the goal side, Matthews will have the most with 119. Kyle Connor was up there. Shaq Hyman had a good year, as well as Pasta. Matthew Tkachuk put up 94. So these point totals and goal totals are absolutely out of this world, especially the points. I mean, goddamn, how many 200 point scorers are we going to have? McDavid, Marner, Kachuk, Kaprizov, Bredman, Aho. Like, we go down here, at least like 20 players, probably over 20 players, honestly, put up over 200 points. And damn, Cale Makar had 199. He missed out by 1 point to have a 200-point season as a defenseman, becoming the first ever. Speaking of defensemen, he still had the most at 199, clearing Erik Karlsson by a good mile. Sergei Bobrovsky put up 58 wins, an NHL record. Hellebuck had 53, Vasi 52, Skinner was good, Georgiev as well. And if we take a look at the shutouts, Bob will lead with 8 on the season, Wall had 7, Riddick 6, Gibson 6. And I mean, even their goaltender stats are not too bad. I mean, we had 924 for Bob, probably going to win the Vezina. Joseph Wall had good numbers, Riddick as well as Gibson. And here we go. This is our year number 1 playoff bracket. And once we get to like the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals, we will be hopping into some of these games. If we get a game 7 also, I might even bother to hop in and see how the teams do. I'm very interested to see how the computer AI performs in the game with not making any line changes. All right, in round number 1, we got a game 7 between Seattle and Edmonton. Let's see what we can do. 1-1 after 1, after 2, a 3-1 lead for the Oilers. There's also, I believe, 2 or 3 other game 7s that might happen. This one here looks like a blowout, so I'm not even going to bother hopping in as Edmonton advances to round number 2. Ah, yes, the classic Leafs Lightning in round number 1, game 7. 2-2 after 1, second period, a 3-2 lead. William Nylander. Also, I would like to mention the power play and penalty kill lines I did not touch, so obviously at some points in the game, the special teams come into play. I could just remove penalties altogether, and then that would not even matter, so I could do that to make sure that the starting 5 plays every single minute. We get a tight game here, 5 minutes to go. A 3-3 tie between the Lightning and the Leafs. All right, here we go. I'm going to hop in for 1 overtime period here in game 7. Hopefully we do have a deciding goal here in overtime between the Lightning and the Leafs. Brayden Point coming in. I'm not even going to touch anything. I'll let the computers go back and forth. I don't care who wins. We'll watch, we'll sit back, we'll relax, and see if the Lightning can yet again beat the Toronto Maple Leafs and continue to absolutely own them come playoff time, and especially in Game 7. Marner shooting, or will the Leafs slay their demons and get back to round number 2? Point coming in, deking, shooting, good save by Wall, there's a rebound, and another great save by Wall, back to the point, Hedman over to Eric Chernak. Of course, there'll be no changes going on here. None at all. In the middle, Cirelli can't, or that's Gensel, not Cirelli, I don't even know what I'm saying. Marner over to Willie Nee. Nylander looking, Nylander shooting, and a great save by Andrei Vasilevsky as we're almost halfway through this overtime period. Horrible turnover, I'm not going to lie. So coming down over to Brayden Point. He had a clear break, but unfortunately, I don't even know what happened there. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend to know when the computers just have an absolute clusterfuck. Marner looking, he's waiting, he's going to find the middle. No, he's going to go behind the net. Back to Nylander. Riley, there's a wide open net, and they can't put it home. I don't know why Vasi was taking a nap in the net, and Toronto could not even put the puck across the goal line. Oh no, Gensel, there's a rebound. Point looking, back to the point, and there it is. Victor Hedman thunderclap, game 7 series winning goal, as yet again the Toronto Maple Leafs will lose in game 7 to the Lightning. I mean, at this point, the Lightning own their franchise. That's crazy. Toronto's not won a Game 7 since 1993. And here we go. This is the final 4 teams remaining in the playoffs. So we got Winnipeg, LA, Ottawa, and Boston. Who is going to go on and make the Stanley Cup Finals? And in the finals, we have the Boston Bruins up against the Winnipeg Jets. A best of 7 to decide who is the best team in the NHL. It is crunch time now. A 4-2 lead for the Jets in the third period. Stanley Cup in the building. A 3-1 lead, 5-2 lead. Kyle Connor gets a pair in the third period as they want to bring the Stanley Cup back to Canada. We're going to hop in here with probably 2 minutes left. Here we are in Winnipeg, the whiteout in full effect, and this crowd is about to blow the roof off this place. 1:10 to go in the third period. Empty net, so delayed penalty for the, got a PP for the Bruins. Oh, dear God, that almost went in the back of the net. What is going on there? Actually, no, never mind. Just an empty net because they're at the end of the game. There it is, Connor for the hat trick, possibly? No, in the middle, Scheifele, and there it is. The Winnipeg Jets pretty much solidify year number 1, as all they have to do now is just wind the clock down and raise Lord Stanley. We got 12 seconds to go in this third period. A 7-3 gong show of a game. Mark Scheifele had a hat trick in the third, as in year number 1, the Winnipeg Jets are going to go all the way, and for the first time in their franchise's history, go on and win a Stanley Cup. I definitely did not see this coming, but shout out to Winnipeg, man. They were clearly the better team. Dominated Boston in 5 games. I thought we were going to get like a very close series, maybe even a game 7. but unfortunately it was just not meant to be. The Jets were clearly the better team somehow, some way, only playing a starting 5. They'll get it done in year number 1 as well. As the Conn Smythe Trophy will go to Kyle Connor, 34 goals, 82 points, the most goals and points in a playoff run. These playoff totals I didn't even think of are going to be absolutely bonkers. And there it is, the Stanley Cup raised in Winnipeg. Gary Bettman's worst nightmare as the whiteout. Doesn't that look beautiful? I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, as here comes the captain, Adam Lowry. Did not even play a single second in the entire regular season or playoffs, but he's the first guy to come up and raise the Stanley Cup, as the Jets have gone all the way in year number 1. So, Kyle Connor will have a playoff run for the ages. Dear God, 34 goals, 82 points. Scheifele had 70, passed to 65. These are like literally regular season totals that we are seeing in the playoffs now, because they're only playing like 16 to 24 games. But still, they are putting up absolutely monster numbers. And for goalies, Hellebuck was good. I mean, a 918, no shutouts, but he had 16 wins, which was the most important stat. Connor will take home the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. Matthews, the Maurice Richard, the Norris to Cale Makar. Also, Kyle Connor, the Conn Smythe, Sergei Bobrovsky, the Vezina, and Ryan O'Reilly, the Selke. Overall, I think year number 1 was a very successful season. We'll do 2 more years and see who else goes on and wins a Stanley Cup. Maybe the Winnipeg Jets are a dynasty and three-peat, who knows? Moving along to season number 2, the Oilers will win the President's Trophy, 56-20-6, a very good record. Florida was a good team yet again. Colorado was up there, the Rangers, Toronto, and the defending champs in the Winnipeg Jets at the bottom. Yet again, we have the bottom feeder teams in Calgary, San Jose, and Montreal. Even Washington, who did make the playoffs in real life, but probably aren't going to simulate too well. Dave will have a season for the ages, leading everybody in points with 254. Dear God. And the goals will go to Shaq Hyman, who had 120 on the season, followed by Matthews, 114. McDavid was very good, obviously. Connor was up there. Jarrett McCann scored 98. Brock Besser, a 90-goal season. And on the point side, if we take a look, dear God, I mean, Kachuk, Nylander, Breadman over 220, Braden Point, Barkov. Holy hell, it seems like we had even more 200-point scores this season. Giroux and JT Miller, as well as Robert Thomas, all broke 200 even. Makar will have the most points by defenseman with 207, and the most goals will go to Aaron Ekblad, who put up a 40-goal season. Skinner will have the most wins. Skin Daddy, shout out to him. Bob had 54. Georgiev was up there, and the most shutouts will go to Georgiev, having 10 on the season. So he's probably going to win the Vezina, unless maybe Stuart Skin Daddy will steal it from him. And this is our Stanley Cup playoff bracket for year number 2. Yet again, Toronto and Boston in round number 1. Probably a Game 7. Actually, no, it was Toronto-Tampa last year, but still, the Leafs and the Bruins face off a lot in the first round. Now, the Final Four this year, we got Boston, Tampa, Winnipeg, and Anaheim. So technically, we could literally have a rematch from year number 1 between the Jets and the Bruins. But hopefully, we get a new and fresh matchup as we try to see who will make the Stanley Cup Finals. And now in the finals, we still have the Jets trying to go back-to-back. But this time, they're going to face the loaded Tampa Bay Lightning squad in a 7-game series. Winner take all. Let's see who's going to take home the Stanley Cup at the end of year 2. Oh, dear Lord, the Lightning absolutely dominating Winnipeg. I mean, it's not over yet. A 5-3 lead, only 2 goals, 6-3. Yeah, this game is pretty much over. The Lightning, 3-1 lead in the series. They had a 5-2 lead in the game, scoring 5 goals, I think, in the second period, as they're looking to close in on their 3rd Stanley Cup of, well, not the Stammer era any longer, but the Hedman, Kucherov, and Braden Point era. All right, here we go. 1 minute remaining in the 3rd period. Mark Scheifele back to the point. It's a 7-5 game for the Tampa Bay Lightning, as yet again the Stanley Cup looks to be raised in Winnipeg in front of the whiteout. This time, unfortunately for the Jets, it will not be their team, as they absolutely folded in the finals. Won't be able to go back-to-back. All right, 4.9 remaining until the Tampa Bay Lightning will win their 3rd Stanley Cup in the Nikita Kucherov era, as they are going to go all the way in season number 2 and win it in the cold and murder capital of Canada, which is the city of Winnipeg, as they dominated the Jets in 5 games, just like the Jets dominated the Bruins last year. So a pretty similar outing, but this time Winnipeg is on the opposite side of the spectrum. literally crying in the locker room watching a team raise the Stanley Cup on home ice. As the Conn Smythe Trophy will go to Brayden Point. He put up 22 goals and 67 points, so not as a crazy stat line as Kyle Connor had last season, but still. I mean, these numbers are absolutely insane. I'm not going to lie. And there it is, the Stanley Cup here in the second season, waiting the new captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning. No longer Steven Stamkos. He's off to Nashville and the Predators. It will be none other than Victor Hedman. The big Super Swede coming to collect the cup for the third time in his career, as the Lightning have won it all in season number 2. Now, Brayden Point would lead the playoffs in scoring, 67 points. Nikita Kucherov at 61, Gensel 60. Kyle Connor was good yet again. Mark Scheifele. Troy Terry, he only played 19 games, put up 13 goals and 40 points. And for goalies, Andrei Vasilevsky, 3 shutouts and a .919 save percentage. So he did his thing. Also, shout out Hellebuck, dear God, a .930. McDavid will win the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. Shaq Hyman, the Maurice Richard, the Norris, the Cale Makar. Brayden Point will take home the Conn Smythe. Georgiev, the Vezina, and Alexander Barkov will win the Selke Trophy. Now, in the final season, Florida will win the President's Trophy, winning 58 games. They're consistently a good regular season team, but just can't get it done come playoff time. Tampa Bay, who are the defending champs, won 55. We get the Avs up there, as well as the Oilers, Bruins, and Rangers. And at the bottom, we got the Arizona Coyotes, the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Buffalo Sabres. McDavid, again, is going to dominate, 274 points, leading all skaters. And Shaq Hyman will score one more goal than McDavid to win that Maurice Richard. I don't even know how he did it, but he got it done. McDavid 128. Jared McCann was an absolute monster. Tummy Ache Matthews must have not had a tummy ache. He played all 82 games. And the usual players are up there for goals and for points. I mean, if we take a look, Arkov 238, Nylander 230, 220s for Verhaeghe, as well as Hyman, Marner. Patty Kane had 64 goals and 226 points for goalies. Bob had the most wins at 57, and the most shutouts will go to Andrei Vasilevsky with 12. Also, shutout Skin Daddy. He put up 10 shutouts on the year. So, suck a fatty to all the haters that hate on Skin Daddy. I'm not going to take any slander any longer. And Cale Makar will lead all defensemen with 188 points. And now this is the final playoff bracket of the video. Finally, we got a brand new Final Four with the Oilers, Preds, then we got Florida and Toronto. So we could have an all-Canadian Stanley Cup final, or we could, there's a lot of possibilities that could be mixed and matched here, but only my job is to go ahead and simulate and to find out who is going to make the Stanley Cup final in the final season. Here we go, 20 hard miles for the Oilers, and they're off to the Stanley Cup finals. A 2-1 lead over Nashville here in Game 7, and Philip Forsberg will tie it right away, but Nuge will take the lead. There we go, halfway through the third period. Can the Oilers hang on? No, Philip Forsberg, as it's going back and forth. Zach Hyman, there it is. The Oilers regain the lead. We got 3 minutes to go in the third. Will they go to the Stanley Cup Finals? They are headed back there to complete the job that they did not finish in real life. This is going to be a very juicy Stanley Cup Finals. This would honestly probably have the most viewership for a Stanley Cup Finals probably ever if we had McDavid versus Matthews, Edmonton versus Toronto. Let's see in the final season who is going to take home the Stanley Cup. Well, here we are in Game 5 in Edmonton. It's not looking too great for my Oilers. They're down 3-1 in the series and 5-3 in the game. 23 seconds to go until that Stanley Cup is raised, but unfortunately not to the Oilers. It will go to the goddamn Toronto tummy aches. Like, are we serious right now? Did we just lose to Toronto? 10 minutes, Marner shooting, and there is the empty net. It will go to Mitch the bitch Marner, will basically seal the deal with 9.4 remaining. A hat trick for Marner as well. Definitely his first ever playoff hat trick. And that is going to do it here in year number 3. The Toronto Maple Leafs, for the first time since 1967 to be exact, they're going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Oilers in 5 games in the finals. They were up 3-0. The series wasn't really that close, to be honest. Finally, Matthews, Marner, Nylander stepped up in the postseason. And even with Joseph Wall and Anthony Stolarz, one of those guys definitely played well. I believe it was Wall. As the Conn Smythe Trophy will go to Willie Nee. 26 goals, 72 points. Tummy Ache Matthews must have took a maternity leave in the playoffs and just let Nylander take over and lead this team to a Stanley Cup. Exactly what he did And there it is, the Stanley Cup. 3 seasons in a row. We have 3 different winners. And for year number 3, it will be none other than the most hated and probably the most popular NHL team in the Toronto Maple Leafs. There is John Tavares, now the former captain of the team, lifting it as they have gone and beat the system. Nylander is going to lead the playoffs in scoring 72 points. An absolutely outstanding playoff run. Was over goal per game as well. McDavid had a hell of a run. Marner was up there. Matthews was decent. I mean, he did have 33 goals. Hyman had 50 points. Kachuk, Nugent Hopkins was up there. And for goalies, Wall put up a 925. So can't complain about that. He literally did his job. McDavid again is going to win the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. Shaq Hyman, the Maurice Richard, the Norris to Evan Bouchard, Nylander, the Conn Smythe, the Vasi, the Vezina, and Sasha Barkov, the Selke, yet again. And that is going to do it for making sure every single NHL team has a starting 5 and plays only their starting 5 throughout the entirety of an NHL hockey game. And overall went well. I mean, 3 different winners in 3 different seasons. The point totals were absurd. We had literally regular season totals in the playoffs. Goalies were actually very good also. So I think overall it was a very fun and very exciting experiment. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you leave some love and support. I would like to say thank you all for watching. And until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.